Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. Now, this Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight has got the public divided. Half of the public seem to think that it's a gross mismatch in favor of Jake Paul, and the other half seem to think it's a gross mismatch in favor of Mike Tyson. Now, obviously, this is Car Crash TV. This is a freak show, but there is some intrigue there, I'm not going to lie, because obviously, a prime Mike Tyson would dispatch Jake Paul in a matter of seconds. Never mind minutes or rounds, seconds. The Mike Tyson who lost to Kevin McBride 19 years ago would destroy Jake Paul, as far as I'm concerned. But let's put that version of Mike Tyson in proper context. For those of you who are maybe younger and you're not too familiar with Kevin McBride, he was an Irish fighter who I would say was on about the same level as a Dave Allen today. Think about it now. Mike Tyson lost to a Dave Allen level fighter. No disrespect to Dave Allen, by the way, all right? But he lost to a Dave Allen level fighter 19 years ago. But the mythology that surrounds Mike Tyson, the aura that surrounds him, is so strong that when he came back and had that exhibition against Roy Jones, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago? There were fans of his claiming that he could run through the heavyweight division even then. Completely delusional. You don't lose to Kevin McBride 15 or 16 years prior and then come back in your 50s and run through the heavyweight division. That's ridiculous. But again, it speaks to the incredible aura that Mike Tyson built up around him during his glory years. And that obviously had a lot to do with not just his personality, but of course his fighting style. Hyper-aggression, tremendous speed, punching power, footwork, very good footwork for a pressure fighter, head movement, and all this type of stuff. He could lead, he could counter, so on and so forth. But anyway, he was the self-styled baddest man on the planet. And boxing fans fell in love with him. And I would say Mike Tyson is the most popular boxer of all time. Muhammad Ali, of course, was wildly popular during his heyday. At Ali's peak, he was probably more popular than Tyson at his peak. But Mike Tyson's popularity has got more longevity than Muhammad Ali's popularity. Mike Tyson has managed to stay relevant and popular for longer than Muhammad Ali did. Obviously, Ali developed Parkinson's and then he kind of went out of the public eye, whereas Mike Tyson has stayed in the public eye the whole time for the most part. Anyway, 19 years ago, Mike Tyson lost to Kevin McBride, a guy about on the same level as Dave Allen today. So 19 years on from losing to a Dave Allen level opponent, Mike Tyson's obviously going to be a lot worse. In fact, I've watched the training footage on Netflix and on YouTube. I saw the public workout the other day of Mike Tyson in the run-up to this fight, and he looks, to me, noticeably slower than he was not just 19 years ago, but 5 years ago when he fought Roy Jones. He looks noticeably slower now than he did then. There has been significant deterioration since the Jones fight. At the public workout the other day, Mike Tyson looked absolutely terrible. Terrible. The reflexes were not there. The speed was not there. The snap on his punches was not there. He looked terrible. In fact, he looked so bad that apparently there are people on social media urging him to pull out of the fight. Now, before the idiotic fanatics get on my case, I'd like to see what you look like at 60. You're missing the point, you idiot. I'm not saying I would look better than him at 60. I'm just pointing out the fact that he is a shadow of 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 the fighter he once was. And he's going in against the guy in his 20s. Okay, he's a YouTuber, but he's still a young athletic man who can punch. And that's where the intrigue is. You just don't know whether Mike Tyson has deteriorated enough for Jake Paul to be able to beat him. I'm not sure. I mean, if Mike Tyson today, this version of Mike Tyson was fighting Johnny Fisher, and I don't rate Johnny Fisher highly, I'm telling you people, Johnny Fisher would smash Mike Tyson today to pieces in a couple of rounds. It'd smash him to bits. Any British level, even probably most area level heavyweights today would smash Mike Tyson to pieces in a couple of rounds. Do not allow yourselves to be deluded by your undying love for Iron Mike. Father Time is undefeated. Mike Tyson's not going to be better than he was 19 years ago. He's not going to be better than he was when he fought Roy Jones. He's going to be worse. That's how biology works, folks. Now, Jake Paul has said in the past that he would like to eventually establish himself as a legitimate professional fighter by taking on and beating recognizable names. Not a 60-year-old Mike Tyson, obviously, but current recognizable names in the cruiserweight division. He's previously claimed that he would like to become a legitimate contender. Now, I don't know whether he really means that. Perhaps he meant it once and now he's come to the realization that he's never going to be that good. I don't know. Or maybe he still holds that ambition. If he does, then he absolutely has to beat Mike Tyson, and he has to do it convincingly in order to ever stand a chance of being even a fringe contender at cruiserweight 3, 4, 5 years from now. You have to be beating a 60-year-old man. Doesn't matter if it's Mike Tyson. Again, Tyson got beat by a Dave Allen level opponent 19 years ago. Even if you're a cruiserweight today, if you're going anywhere, you have to be beating a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. You have to. Well, you think Vidal Riley today couldn't beat Mike Tyson at 60? Of course he could beat him. Any of these cruiserweight contenders, if they couldn't beat this version of Mike Tyson right now and do it easily, they really should finish, as Prince Nassim once said about Chris Eubank Jr. They should retire. You can't beat a damn 60-year-old man. Now, if Mike Tyson is to win this fight against Jake Paul, the thing that will allow him to do it above anything else is not his punching power, is not whatever speed he has left, it's his boxing brain. That's what Mike Tyson needs to use in this fight, the boxing brain, because he has obviously vastly more experience than Jake Paul, and he is very crafty. Even in his prime, Mike Tyson was very crafty. He was a very good counterpuncher back in the days. He would set up the counters, right? He was very crafty, and he still has that craft about him. It's a matter of whether he can pull the trigger. Now, if his offense is not quite there, his defense needs to be there. It was several years ago, but he showed in the Roy Jones Jr. fight that he still has some of that head movement, still comes in with his chin down and knows how to protect himself. And so, again, if Tyson's going to beat Jake Paul, it has to be a wily, crafty, old man type performance where he old man's Jake Paul out of the fight. Doesn't necessarily need to go in there and blitz him like the Tyson of old. It just needs to make himself somewhat difficult to hit, come in at awkward angles, stick a jab in Jake Paul's chest, frustrate Jake Paul even with the fact that he can't catch Mike Tyson clean, that he's still got enough know-how and enough craft to be able to avoid the big shots or make Jake Paul have to work really hard to land any big shots. You know, back in the days, in the 90s and in the 80s, in order to catch Mike Tyson clean, you had to stand and trade with him. And obviously that's a massive gamble, right? Because again, he would move his head all over the place, make you miss, and he'd come back and knock your head off. But most of the guys who managed to land big solid shots on him were guys who are willing to stand and trade, at least in spots. And, you know, maybe stand and trade is probably not the best way to describe it, because you think of Buster Douglas, and Buster Douglas didn't really stand and trade. Well, he did stand and trade at certain points in a fight, but most of the stuff he was doing at long range, but he stood his ground. That's the best way to describe it. The guys who landed big shots against Mike Tyson back in the days, for the most part, not all of them, but for the most part, were guys who stood their ground with him. If you tried to run around, Tyson actually found it easier to avoid your shots. Jabs from long range and the odd pot shot, he found it easy to avoid the attacks of fighters who took that approach. Whereas if you stand your ground with him, that's when you're in with more of a fighting chance of landing your own, but of course you're in the danger zone. And so Jake Paul's approach in this fight is going to be interesting. Will he elect to stand his ground? Because I think if he wants to win this fight decisively, he might be able to do it moving around. Perhaps Mike Tyson's legs are that shot at this stage that you can, unlike in his prime, beat him just by running around the ring and sticking a jab. We'll see. I know Roy Jones wasn't very successful doing that when he fought Mike Tyson. He resorted to loads of clinching, but Jake Paul is bigger and much younger than Roy Jones was when he fought Mike Tyson. So we'll see on that. But if Tyson's able to cope and, let's say, nullify what Jake Paul's doing on the outside, then Jake Paul might have to come on the inside and actually bang it out with this guy. That's generally how Mike Tyson was beaten. When people stood their ground and said, you know what, here and no further. That's how Holyfield beat him. That's how Douglas beat him, ultimately. That's certainly how Danny Williams beat him. That was a slugfest, right? Danny Williams was just the younger, fresher guy. Tyson hurt his knee at the end of the first round, and Danny Williams just kept punching and punching and punching and punching. So we shall see. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Who are you picking in this circus fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm out. Are you surrounded by mindless bots in human form who adhere to the norm and blindly conform? Who swallow all the mainstream BS and actually ridicule you for questioning things? Do you wish you had more free-thinking individuals in your life to network and converse with? Well, look no further. We're right here. Come and join the Brotherhood of Reason on Patreon. You'll gain access to my weekly topical content where we take deep dives on an endless variety of subjects, as well as my vast back catalogue of podcasts, videos, interviews, movie decodings, and my Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You'll also get to talk and network with myself and hundreds of other people in our members chat. You can enjoy all this via the Patreon app or on desktop and download all my podcasts in high quality MP3. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store, or simply visit patreon.com on a web browser. Then head on over to my page and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.